What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Ben Thomas Show. Thanks for coming back. Hot Toys Joel Miller from The Last of Us is now here, and I want to talk about this figure because I loved the video games, and I even really liked season 1 of the show, but my feelings have changed a little bit potentially, and it might get in the way of me deciding to collect this line. So stick around, let's talk about it. If you liked the video, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and let's get into it.
I give you Ben Thomas Showtime. Here we go.
Okay guys, welcome back. So again, I loved the video games of The Last of Us. Last of Us 1 and 2, to be honest, and while the second game was pretty divisive at the time, I expected that the seasons would go very much the same way, and they definitely have, which for some definitely disappointed, and for some they were expecting it, kind of like me. All of the character developments of these two, of course, when I talk about these two, I mean Joel and Ellie. But Joel from the first season is what we're looking at here in terms of the Hot Toys form. And I have to say right out of the gate, this figure does look really good. Say what you want about Pedro Pascal and being in all these films lately and everything, and a little bit of that Pedro Pascal fatigue, for sure. Even I'm feeling it, if I'm being honest, a little bit. There's no denying this sculpt definitely looks like Pedro. It's pretty wild, if I'm being honest. And I don't always love when Hot Toys tries to nail kind of like a moodiness in their expression, because sometimes it just doesn't land well. But Joel, especially in the first season, barely cracked a smile. He looked kind of sullen and frustrated and pissy the whole time. And I think the sculpt captures that wonderfully. I think the criticism I have initially is the hair looked a little weird. It looks like hair noodles in a weird way. The volume is definitely there, and when I compare it to real life photos of Pedro or Joel from the first season, I actually think that the hair is closer than I initially was even remembering in my mind's eye, especially in terms of volume and shape and everything. But the sculpted noodly things look a little bit weird, if I'm being totally honest. I still think sculpting has come a long way from what it was, though. So it's a minor nitpick, it's not a deal breaker by any stretch. I even think that they nailed some of the gray in the hair. At first I thought, it doesn't look as gray as I was expecting, but at closer inspection, especially with the lighting, I think this is part of the reason the texture is actually showing more, is because it's got a little bit of salt and peppery kind of sprinkled in there. And I'm now an expert on salt and pepper, so I can see it there for sure. The skin texturing I think is fantastic. Again, even the beard, I think that they've nailed it. He doesn't have a weird upper lip. It's Pedro Pascal. 100%. It really is. I think this is like an 8.5 or 9 out of 10 sculpt. It's fantastic. What does this guy come with? So he's got the separate rolling eyes, which I think is pretty standard now, but I appreciate it, especially if you want to capture the mood of a character. I think that's necessary. I do really like the detail of the duct tape on the backpack at that scale. I think that that's pretty cool, and it definitely looks like little strips of duct tape kind of weathered in there, so that looks fun. The backpack itself kind of looks a little on the clean side, if I'm being honest, considering how much duct tape it has. But that's the way she goes. The guns are pretty cool. It does say that it's got a new sight on the rifle, so I think that's fantastic. I really like that hand pistol, so I think that's really, really cool. The torch is nice. The knife, pretty standard, but nice to have that in there as well. I do love a figure that can carry the majority of the accessories that come in the box. That always excites me because I hate putting that in my storage closet. So the figure itself here, pretty fantastic. Coming in at $285 on Sideshow right now. That's a pretty standard price point from what I'm seeing, especially when there's a head sculpt likeness. So I don't think that that's too out to lunch by any stretch. Again, when I compare the likeness here to a photo of Pedro Pascal from the season, I do definitely see him here. Now, the question that I have, though, is this the representation of The Last of Us you really want to have in your display? You know, I'd been chasing the pre-order for the Lim Toys version of Joel and Ellie from the game because it's truly the game that hits my nostalgia button. The show, while it was good, I've never really loved Pedro as Joel, but I did warm up to him as Joel as the season progressed and into season 2. I really found it difficult to warm up to Bella Ramsey, though, as Ellie. I don't think that Bella Ramsey is a bad actress. I don't think really anything bad about her other than the fact that she just never felt like Ellie to me, both in her acting, both in the way she looks for the role. She just didn't fit very well. And when I saw this pop up today and I noticed that there really is no tease of an Ellie in any of these photos, right? Hot Toys tends to do that. If they're planning the next figure, sometimes we'll see maybe the back of another character just so we know that there's going to be a pairing opportunity there. None of that is here. But if an Ellie does get popped up at some point from Hot Toys, I would seriously consider buying the Rain Carradine figure from the Alien Romulus film just to take that head sculpt and pop that on a Bella Ramsey figure. How bad is that? Maybe kind of bad, but only because I honestly see her, that actress who plays Rain Carradine, more as Ellie than Bella Ramsey ever has for me. So that would be potentially a plan if I really wanted to collect the live action representation of The Last of Us, but there's a lot to go into that. It seems weird to have to buy another figure just to take a head sculpt off. Maybe I try and find a way to get it parted out, something along those lines. But even still then, I don't know if the show carries the same level of nostalgia for me as the game representations do. And because there are companies out there who are giving us some level of game representations now, part of me wants to just hold out for those, right? I mean, look how good that Nathan Drake figure turned out from Limb Toys. I couldn't imagine how good the Ellie and Joel could be in that form, and I'd be happy with that if I'm being totally honest. So, is this a character that you need in your display? Should they have tried to give this to us at a bit better of a price point just to, get people and collectors in that mindset of, I didn't need it, but God, it's so cheap, like, why not get it, right? This is a figure that I would have said in the past would be a bargain bin contender for me. I love having a Joel from The Last of Us in my display, but I don't really want to pay $285. If I could find him for like $245, I'd consider it, right? A little bit. But also, like, do we need this Joel if we don't get Bella Ramsey, Ellie, or a clicker, or something for him to be paired with? Because otherwise, he's just kind of a dude in a post-apocalyptic looking outfit, slightly Western gear-esque. He's not the most exciting guy to have by himself. I feel like he needs, at the very least, Ellie for the pairing, or a clicker, a monster, something to go up against, right? There has to be something else in this line that we should look forward to. The only other piece that would have been cool, and I guess it would have increased the price, is maybe a battle-damaged head sculpt. Something else to just swap his look, right? Because, again, there's lots of the show where he gets beaten up pretty good, especially in the first season. We're not going to talk about the second season scenes, but even in the first season, he gets beaten up pretty good. And I think that this figure, while looking good, is a little bit boring. I think some dynamic changeability there with maybe a bloodied up head sculpt could have been cool for a change in the display at the very least. Because otherwise, he's just going to stand there looking kind of frustrated and bored most of the time. Now, what this also gives me some excitement for, because I really do think that they've dialed in the Pedro likeness here. I know we've seen that Mando figure from the past, the Chrome Mando with the Pedro sculpt there, and I thought that one was like a 7 or 8. I didn't think that sculpt was amazing. This one is a lot closer. What it does excite me for, though, is the prospect of a better Reed Richards figure to come from Fantastic Four, right? We're in the month of July 2025. I'm really excited to see Fantastic Four. And I'm anticipating liking it, so if that's the case, I already know myself I'm going to want to collect from the Fantastic Four. And if they can nail Pedro this well for The Last of Us, they should absolutely be able to nail a Reed Richards from Fantastic Four. So it does give me some excitement, even if this is the figure that, as of right now, I'd be putting the brakes on. I'm not going to buy anything from The Last of Us until I know how fulfilling this line could look, what he might be able to be paired with, and, as I said, even then, it would still probably be a bargain bin contender for me. I just don't know if I need it. But let me know what you guys think. Are you huge Last of Us fans? Maybe you only have experience with the show and not the game, so this is your Joel, and you need to have him. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. But if you guys like the video today, hit the like button, smash the subscribe if you're new to the Ben Thomas Show, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Wow, what a great audience. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
Where should I go? What should I do? Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
It's gone. It's all gone.